Folks in the Florida Keys hit the roads too as officials slap a mandatory evacuation on the chain of islands.
And again, the hurricane season may have a mere 26 days to go, but it's going out with a flurry. Hurricane Michelle parked about 200 miles to our south. What will the impact be here in Key West? We'll try to spell it all out coming up next.
Looks pretty rough where Bill is.
It does. The water's looking choppy.
Good morning and welcome to Weekend Now. I'm Melissa Barrington.
And I'm Bob Stokes. Well, you're off to a cool start from New York to Atlanta.
And in Southern California, you'll be dodging rain from what's left over of a former tropical system in the Pacific. But we begin this Sunday with Michelle, a major hurricane in the Caribbean, and it's bearing down on Cuba.
Right now, Hurricane Michelle is located about 50 miles southeast of the Isle of Youth on Cuba's southwestern coast. It's packing winds of 135 miles an hour, making it a Category 4 hurricane. Now, western Cuba is under a hurricane warning, so are the Florida Keys, and the Bahamas are under a hurricane watch. The projected path has Michelle heading toward the Bahamas. That means that right now we expect the center of Hurricane Michelle to stay to the south of the Florida Keys.
But to be safe, the Florida Keys are under a mandatory evacuation order.
Now, the area is already feeling some impact from the storm. Bill Keneally, he's been there, and he's seen them come and go, and right now he's at least on the periphery of another one. He's on Key West. Bill, how's it going?
All right, Bob and Melissa, thank you again. Good morning, everybody. The good news is Cuba is that way. I say that because normally with a major hurricane, you'd have very large swells propelling out from that center. Well, there's a major blockade going on, namely the island of Cuba itself. So yes, we are getting some pretty good chop out here in the Florida Straits. We are protected a little bit, I might add, but otherwise the surf is not that bad considering we have a Cat 4 hurricane poised 250 miles to our south. I want to show you some of the video shot earlier today, and this is again on the shore a couple miles to my left or farther to the west down around the Mallory Square area. And note the water lapping up very quickly, and a rather nasty morning, safe to say. Boaters, everybody is all tied down, all the boats are cinched off, and we're going to have to ride it out. And you know, you guys mentioned a mandatory evacuation, but I don't think I would recommend anybody leaving the Key West area at this late stage of the game. Just hunker down, and once again, hopefully we'll get, as you said, Bob, a peripheral effect. Hopefully no winds further than, say, 75 miles per hour, and even that would only be in a gust. A different story, though, in Isla Morada and Key Largo. So folks up the Keys, in the upper Keys, batten down the hatches. That is it from here. Very squally, rather gusty, but otherwise not too bad. Back to you guys.
And good advice on that evacuation. That order was issued yesterday. That would have been the time to leave. Thank you very much, Bill.
Well, Florida is not where we expect to see the main impact from the storm, though, today.
No, Cuba is bearing the brunt of the storm, Melissa, as you know.
They certainly are. In fact, in parts of Key West where Bill was, it looks like they've had about 1.25 inches of rain so far.
Yep, not too much, and they're not going to get a whole lot of rain. They're going to be on the periphery, it looks like. The circulation center's almost due south of them, but a long way south and heading to the east-northeast. So their weather is probably going to get a little bit better through time. Now let's look at the latest weather maker for today. I wanted to show you something here that's rather interesting. There's a benefit if you're on the left side of a rapidly accelerating hurricane. As we look at this hurricane here right now, it's starting to accelerate to the northeast at about 12 miles per hour. When we add that speed of motion around the hurricane, on the south side of the circulation, the wind speeds actually increase, so you get an additional wind component on the southeast side. But on the north side, the side that would basically affect the Florida Keys and South Florida, you're decreasing the wind speed that actually is coming out of the northeast. So as the system comes to the north and accelerates, that's a benefit. We're going to see less wind than we would get if it crept slowly. And the faster it moves, take that speed of motion away from the wind that's going to be coming out of the northeast. And right now you can see there's Key West where Bill was right there. The circulation center is almost due south of them. It's heading towards Cienfuegos over the next 8 to 12 hours. It should make landfall there, weaken over the Cuba area and head toward Andros Island, very quickly accelerating, and when it does, weakening all the way. Well, that's it for the weather maker. Here's Bob.
Doc